Hey, what's up, Exit the Matrix family? Bob here. Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for joining me on this morning talk. Hey guys, sorry I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately. I've had a lot of personal stuff going on, and I pushed aside some of this stuff. It's not that I haven't been cutting videos. I haven't been uploading, to be honest. I've got a few in the wing here. In fact, this one will be the third one that I need to upload. So maybe it'll be rapid fire. Maybe I'll get 2 out today. I've just had a lot going on when I've been getting home and all that. I've got to typically set aside an hour's time to, you know, if there's any little editing, anything I got to do, and then the upload and all that. And sometimes it doesn't upload the first time, and it takes re-uploads, and then YouTube systems have to check everything, and that takes like another 20 minutes. And so, you know, I guess there's no excuses for it. My attention's been elsewhere, folks, and I apologize for that. But there is a lot going on, and wow, so what I wanted to talk about today, guys, is just this new world that's coming. I don't know if most people, or I don't think most people realize the signs of the infrastructure, of the you know, what's being set up, the framework. And a lot of this is being done, you know, under Trump. And the deals that he's making with, like, Peter Thiel, you know, with Palantir, OpenAI, and all these systems, even, and, you know, with Elon Musk. A lot of people don't understand why things are changing, and why, you know, he's pushing for these changes, and everybody thinks it's beneficial. And maybe on one hand it is, but look, folks, you know, every coin has 2 sides. Every sword has 2. Well, most swords have, at least thrusting swords have 2 edges. And you know, what am I talking about? Well, the push for the for income tax, right, to be replaced with tariff income for the nation, so that's how we'll pay our debts to the Iron Bank of the City of London. I mean, I'm sorry, folks. I mean the Federal Reserve Bank, right? I'm sorry, folks. I've been going through Game of Thrones as I've been working on other things, but I read the books too. And it's just interesting how, like, the Iron Bank of Bravos, right? It's even in the Game of Thrones, like, the bank is the ultimate power, right? It's interesting because even the Lannisters and all of the other, like, ruling families that are, you know, that all the little kingships going on, they all bow the knee to the Iron Bank of Bravos, because they fund both sides of every war, even in the Game of Thrones, right? And these kings can't have wars if they ain't getting money from the Bravos Bank. So I mean, it's the same thing here. Like, look, a real true leader would tell us the truth that the Federal Reserve is not an American institution. It's a foreign banking cartel, and they're essentially printing money out of thin air that's based on nothing, and they're charging you interest on top of that. And now the interest is the real theft, because for every dollar printed, it puts the nation further in debt to this Iron Bank, right? To this Federal Reserve. But worse than that is that interest, a lot of times that interest ends up getting paid back with land, with you know, with gold and silver, with real assets. So the bank is printing money out of thin air. They're charging you interest. They're putting your nation in debt slavery, your citizens in debt slavery. And then as payback, they are taking land and properties and buildings and businesses and other stuff in exchange or collateral to pay back that debt that they literally are. I mean, folks, look, it's a giant scam, dude. And so everybody's like, yeah, Trump's going to get rid of, the income tax. Folks, the reason why he's trying to shift us out of income tax and shift us into tariff income, which, and look, folks, in many ways, I agree with this, okay? I'm not saying I'm not agreeing that it's a better move, but look, nobody's knowing why. They don't understand the larger picture, the further plan. Well, that is because eventually, as we go full automation with AI and robotics, and when most people are out of work, out of jobs, you still got to pay the debt to the banks. So how are you going to do that? Well, you're gonna outsource your interest payments to other nations, right? And yes, I get it. A lot of that trickles down through what we buy, right? Companies that import a lot of their gadgets and doodads and everything, to build their stuff. Even if they are building it in the U.S., they're gonna push a lot of that extra, that money they're covering in tariffs. They're gonna push that onto the consumer, and I get that. Look, I get it. Okay. However, I think everybody's missing the bigger picture here. See, when we go full automated and 90% of our factories are fully automated and most of your jobs have been replaced, most of your fast food restaurants will be fully automated, your banks will be fully automated, you won't even need politicians, folks, because your city councils will be run by AI systems. Your municipalities, your lawyers will be replaced. Why do you need a lawyer? When literally an AI lawyer can go through every court decision ever made. Okay? I mean, in seconds. So people don't understand. This isn't just going to replace blue-collar workers. It's going to replace the white-collar class too. Managers, what do you need managers when AIs, can run your company more efficiently, with, and you don't have to pay. I mean, yes, the infrastructure you pay for it, but once it's in place, you're not paying for that AI management. You're not paying, for the robotics except for the upkeep. And look, it's going to get to a point where the robots will repair each other. Okay? So you won't even need engineers or mechanics to come in and repair them. You're going to probably at some point have auto shops that'll be fully mechanized. Because see, look, folks, they're going to design everything so that the robotics and AI can work on it. They'll design cars so that parts can be more easily replaced by robots and stuff. See, everybody thinks that they got the job that can't be replaced, right? Like, the doctors, for instance. I mean, honestly, I don't think a lot of you guys know that a lot of your health advice you're getting now, when you a lot of people now are doing these and we've done it because it's a lot cheaper, right? Where you send in your, to an, you're at home, okay, and you can go online and you can do an online appointment, and you put in your symptoms, and they'll do follow-ups, and a lot of people think that they're talking to a real nurse, right? But it's actually, a lot of times, it's already an AI system that's giving you prescriptions and stuff, and they're breaking down your symptoms, and they're giving you advice on it. So, and then you got your doctors, right? Surgeons. Well, these with lasers and AI, robotics, and all that, they're going to be more precise at doing even surgeon work, cutting and repairing and all that, heart surgery and all that, than a human ever could be, because humans make a lot of mistakes. A doctor that's been working, 30 hours straight, 3 shifts, he's tired, he's a little shaky, and he accidentally nicks your nerve and jacks you up for life. Well, AI robotic arms are going to be precise. They're not going to do that. Okay? So, all of this is in preparation for the day when there will be no taxpayers hardly. Think about it, folks. If 80% of your population is no longer actively working a job, how are you going to pay the Iron Bank back? Well, you're going to do it through tariffs. And now a lot of people will laugh at that and say, well, the United States is no longer a production power. Like we don't produce as much as we used to, right? It's all in China, in these third world. Well, China's not, trust me, folks, China is not a third world country. China is more advanced than the United States now. Their cities are beautiful. They're way more advanced than our cities are. Ours are crumbling in decay. But see, the plan of Musk and Trump and these technocrats is that they're going to bring back manufacturing in the U.S., but it's not going to be with American workers. It's going to be with AI and robotics. That's why there's the big push for the United States to win this AI war that Trump's talking about, right? Why they're pouring billions into the AI research and all that. It's because we're in a sprint with China to see who comes out ahead. And look, maybe in the end, both countries are really working together and it's just a big ruse to pour more money to speed up this process, right? You know how that all works, right? Straw man arguments and all that. I mean, it could just be that U.S. and China have always been allied in this endeavor, but they put on this front that we're enemies or we're, competing against each other. But it's really so they have an excuse to ramp up the push for this takeover of AI and robotics. But see, you can still pay the bank because you're still getting money somewhere, right? If you can't tax people that don't have jobs, which I know, look, I get it. The U.S. taxes Social Security and all that, right? So they're still going to take taxes out on universal basic income, right? Musk just had a talk, folks, where he was just explaining this, that most Americans will be receiving, and he says, not basic universal, it'll be high universal income, right? Well, what he's banking on, folks, is that they can get these systems in place, that we can win this AI race, and that we can get the factories up first that start mass producing at unimaginable scales to replace the human workers, and that it'll make the U.S. prosperous again. We'll no longer need to outsource our manufacturing to third world nations and such. Because once you have AI and robotics in place and you have all new facilities and they're designed to mass produce on a scale humans could never do everything that a society needs, now you're not having to outsource to third world nations. Your work, that is, your manufacturing. But guess what, folks? What will the U.S. be doing? We'll be exporting a lot of our stuff. So you'll have a big uptick in income for the U.S. for corporations that are going with this program, because we'll be able to produce faster and more efficiently than any nation on earth, except maybe China. And all of a sudden, these countries that never got their AI up and running, what are they going to do now? They're going to be relying on countries like the China and the U.S. to produce everything that they need. Because now these rich countries that have AI fully mechanized are no longer going to need their cheap labor. Because imagine the labor when it's robots and AI, not even humans doing it, right? And so that's the plan, I believe. And that's what Musk is talking about. If they get this, if they can warp speed us into this new future, yes, most people will be replaced their jobs, and you will receive this basic income to live, to survive, and everything will be provided by these new factories that are automated. And that could be truth, folks. And if the U.S. wins the race, or maybe we end up head-to-head with China, the rest of the world will have to, unless they can get their systems caught up to ours, will have to rely on the U.S. and China for all of their goods. Okay? Or they'll be still looking like a third world country, or all these other nations are going to look like third world nations, even European nations and such. And that's what he's talking about, the high basic income. Because if the U.S. can win this, the U.S. will be rich. They'll provide for the whole world. And that means all that income is going to be flowing into the U.S., and that also means that tariffs are going to skyrocket, and you're going to have a population that you're no longer relying on for tax income. Well, does that mean taxes will go away completely? Probably not. I'm sure they'll even tax your basic income, right? They'll tax you in no matter what, folks. I'm not saying taxes are going to go away, but the bank's got to have its blood still, and they're going to still provide that one way or another. So see, what everybody doesn't realize is that this is a giant plan and you're just seeing the framework, and it's being hidden behind smoke screens of it's for your good. We're going to fix things. We're going to do away with income tax and all that, and we're going to replace it with tariffs. And what they're not telling you is why. Why are they doing this? Now, and we know, honestly, why also. There's going to be another plan here. Look, we know what the whole last plan was. That was to try to see if they could cut down, dismiss populations, because you don't want too many people not working, right? You're going to lose control of people. So you need a smaller population as you get more mechanized and automated, because you're not going to want to pay out 250 million Americans as basic income when you'd only have to pay maybe 100,000, right? Or 100 million, sorry. It's a lot to think about, folks. Now, please understand, look, they're going to find ways that you're going to stay active. Trust me, they're not going to allow you just to sit on your ass and play video games every day and get paid to do that. And, just do yoga all day and meditate all day. I know that's what a lot of people are hoping this will mean, right? Oh, this will give us a chance to become spiritually attuned, right? I hear a lot of people from the spiritual movement, that's what they say that this is going to bring, right? And when, it'll free us up so that we're not having to work so much, and that we can have more time, to connect with nature and this and that. And look, there may be an aspect of that, folks, but that's not the plan, okay? They're going to figure out a way that you're still an asset to the system. And how is that? Well, guess what, folks? Did you guys know that they've been doing research into your DNA, where they've figured out that your DNA can hold like crazy amounts of like information, like gigabits or something? I can't remember what it was, like more than terabits, right? Like, it's crazy what they were like saying. Just one little tiny piece of DNA, it's like it could be like used like a supercomputer chip. So this is what they're going to do, folks. They're going to use you as the data storage devices. They're going to use you for your energy. They're going to tap into that's going to be part of the deal with the universal basic income. Nothing's for free, folks, okay? Earth is an energy exchange farm, okay? It's always been that way. Everything you do, folks, is an energy exchange. Nothing is for free. So they're going to tell you that, okay, you're going to get this income. You can do what you want with your time, but there's a few stipulations. For one, you're going to have to allow us to use some of your DNA as data storage for these systems. We're going to need massive amounts of data storage. We're going to need some of your energy for computing power. I know this sounds sci-fi, folks. Look it up. This is literally what they've been talking about, that they've been doing research on the DNA and all this. So they're going to plug you into this beast system, right? This mechanized AI system. And they're going to use you like a battery in a storage facility. That's the trade-off. And you would say, well, how are they going to do this? Well, they're going to do this, folks, because you're already going to have the data receptors, antennas, whatever you want to call them, the Wi-Fi receptors in your body already. Okay, folks? And for you, those of you that laugh at this, what do you think the last jibby-jab run of the last 6 years was all about? They were already prepping humanity for this. What do you think they're spraying in your skies? Those nanoparticulates, right? the fiend, the graph, right? The black stuff, the black goo. What do you think all this is about, folks? Look, they're putting it in the animals. It's already in you. It's in all of us. They're going to be able to Wi-Fi wise use those data points in your body to connect in with remember the Internet of Bodies, folks? They've been telling you guys. They literally have been telling you guys the whole time. You know, the next wave of internet will be the Internet of Bodies. The Internet of everything. And I've told you guys, they've been spraying the whole world. They're building a virtual copy, a virtual map, a real world working map of the whole world. Okay, of everything, of everyone. That's what they're putting in. That's why they're mass spraying the world, folks. They're getting it so that these little nanoparticulates that can come to life, use the energy of plants, animals, and humans to self-replicate, to build their systems within the body, within the structure, at a minuscule size, smaller than a grain of sand, and that those will start emitting the Wi-Fi signals and allowing this Internet of everything to connect with everything, with all the data points. So they're going to be able to, they're not going to have to put, implants in every human. Look, folks, you already have the implants, okay? That's what they've been doing the last, 6 to 8 years or whatever, how long it's been since all this debacle started. They were already laying the groundwork, folks. You just weren't aware, okay? You thought it was about a cold, a flu, right? Nope. It's always been about the AI robotic takeover, the total transformation of humanity, of the world, the complete mechanization and automation. Sorry, that's a tough word to say. Wow. Automated world that they're building. And it don't matter if it's Biden, Trump, Obama, whoever it is, they've all been working on this same plan. Okay? You've all been fooled, folks. It's coming. Look, I would like to say that we're going to stop this, folks, but we can't. The groundwork's already being laid. They already got the stuff in all of our bodies. And it doesn't matter how many times you cleanse your body and try to get, there's all these, every time you go on Rumble or YouTube or whatever, everybody's hawking all these, these mixtures and potions and supplements that will supposedly get this stuff out of your body. And it may help, but look, they're putting it in everything, folks. Every time you eat, you're getting more of those data collectors put in your body, okay? Every time you get medicine, you go take your, your allergy medicine or whatever. You don't think that they're implanting that stuff in all of our medicines and stuff too? See, they're building a working replica virtual model of the whole world, folks, and of every living thing in it. That's how this super AI system that they're building will be able to monitor the whole world and manage the whole world, folks. That's your Antichrist beast system, folks. I just explained a good portion of it to you. See, John of Patmos, this wasn't some spiritual thing he was witnessing. He was witnessing this technological takeover of the destruction of the Christ consciousness, the replacement of it with this AI beast system, with this non-human intelligence. And he was trying to explain it in a day and age when there was no concept of any of this stuff. Okay? This isn't you could say it's a spiritual battle, obviously, because they're trying to replace, because they all know we're sparks of divinity, folks. They all know what the Christ consciousness is. And they're trying to tamp that down and overlay it with this mechanized system. They think that they figured out how to control spirits in this realm more thoroughly by imprisoning us all in this AI system. And they could be correct in their assumptions. I'm not trying to sound doom and gloom here, folks. I'm just giving you guys the truth, okay? And is all this going to work exactly how I explained it? Probably not, but I guarantee you a lot of this stuff is on track right now. And that's why, they can hide all this. Watch, folks, I'm telling you, in the next year or two, they are going to abolish income tax completely. And everybody's going to laud it as like, yay, finally, we're out from under the unconstitutional, usury income tax system, right? But you're still going to be paying property taxes, usage taxes, sales tax, business tax, on and on and on. It's just one little part of our taxes will be cut out and replaced with tariff income and with income that'll, companies will be taxed for outsourcing or exporting all of these mechanized goods. See, that's why Trump is doing this big push for bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. The problem is, though, is that he's saying it's for American jobs. It's not. That's a cover. Yes, at first it'll be for American jobs, but these corporations will very quickly, once the technology... Look, Elon Musk is building the robots that will be needed to run these factories and stuff. They are... He was talking before about how they're getting close to where Tesla will build and mass produce these robots where that they'll be even affordable enough to have a personal robot in every household. Now, what are they going to do for industry, right, folks? Think about it. Businesses not having to pay salaries, insurance, and on and on and on, workman's comp. And I mean, look, humans are a liability to companies, folks. If they can replace you with automated systems that don't need hardly any humans at all, they don't even need humans to manage the companies. They'll have just a few people that own the companies with a handful of workers running like companies that are producing like billions of products a year by robots and AI. And the countries that don't keep up with the U.S. and China are going to fall way behind. I mean, it'll literally become like mostly probably the U.S. and China, like just light years ahead of everybody else, because now all of a sudden everybody's going to be buying all their products from the U.S. and China because the U.S. and China will be able to produce faster and more efficiently and cheaper than anybody else on earth, even the countries that would, bring cheap labor, right? Third world labor and stuff. The U.S. will no longer need to outsource their labor to third world countries. See, that's why Trump's pushing for this. And yes, at first it'll give the illusion that he's bringing jobs back to America and that humans are getting these factory jobs and all that. But it's only going to be just to hold over till these companies switch over, just to give the technology another year or two to get where it needs to be. And it may already be there, folks. Okay? Wow, I'd like to go on and on more about this, but I need to get in here to work. But I don't know, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think? Do you think I'm on point on a lot of this stuff? Or do you guys think I'm missing this? Do you guys think that I'm wrong on this, or maybe it's going to go down a different way than I'm explaining this? But wow, I mean, I just listened to like a 2-hour talk on digging into like Palantir and all these other like AI systems, and it's unbelievable. And you start to see the bigger picture here, and then you look at what Musk has been saying over the last few years about the basic income and about how his Tesla will be able to produce like millions of these robots here pretty soon on a massive scale. It all starts to make sense, right? I'm kind of wondering if a lot of people to earn income in the future will actually rent out their own robots that they buy and stuff, right? You'll have people like renting out like robots for work and, for, whatever. And that's a way a lot of people will figure out to make income. They'll make it off of their own, like, robots that they own, right? Renting them out or whatever. Who knows? It's really weird, folks. I mean, this future is going to be crazy. Like, I mean, I'd like to say that this could free us and make lives better for us, but I don't know, man. It doesn't look pretty, folks. And I'm guessing that they're going to push real hard once these systems are in place to get rid of a lot of people. Or, like Musk has been pushing for, we'll have to start using all these useless eaters to start colonizing other worlds. Now, I don't know if you buy into the planet thing or whatever. I don't care, folks. Look, we'll figure out how to colonize other dimensions, other planets, other worlds. I don't know. Whatever is out there. I go back and forth on a lot of that stuff. I don't want to debate that right now. But anyways, guys, hey, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I'm sorry I haven't been producing a lot of content lately, or at least getting it uploaded is on a regular basis. I'll get back on the ball. I got a lot going on, folks. Like, look, Facebook really screwed me for quite a while, and I did get my page back, but now it's going to probably take about 3 to 4 months to even get back to where it's producing any kind of real, content creator income and stuff, because now it like reset my page at like limited like reach, limited earning potential. Now it's like starting to tier back up, but it's going to take a few months, and that'll help us big time. And that financially hit us hard. I know a lot of people laugh at that. Well, you make money on social. Look, folks, I built that page for 8+ years. Okay. I invested a lot of research, time, videos, content, creating memes, like writing articles, like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, a lot of my posts are pretty simple and easy, a lot of just conversation starters. But if you look back over the years, I've done a lot of articles and stuff too. So I put a lot of time into that. So I should be compensated. It is what it is, right? If you were building a business for 8 years, you would expect to get paid for it, right? Now, what if you built that business and maybe it's not replacing your main income, but maybe it's a nice, an extra, what would you do with an extra $1,500, $2,000 a month, right? And then all of a sudden, somebody just comes and takes that away from you. I mean, imagine what that would do to you and your family, right? So it is what it is. Look, I'm not crying about it. Well, I have cried, I guess, enough about it, but hey, I'm happy to have it back. I'm still very leery of what's going on Facebook, and I don't even understand why I got it back. Because everything I tried through their help systems never helped, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I wake up one morning, I got my page back. It's weird, really weird, and I heard that happen to a lot of people. I told you guys, I believe that it was an inside job, that people inside Facebook that work for Facebook were stealing people's accounts, info, and business pages. And they were either blackmailing them, stealing the data, selling the data, stealing their, taking their pages over so they could receive the payouts, the monetization, and that they were doing this on the side because they have access to everybody's data on Facebook. So they had access to people's, emails and all their personal data. And a lot of these hackers use that to scam people and stuff. So, anyways, folks, it is what it is. But if you would like to support Exit the Matrix in a way that will also do good for you, that I offer one-on-one Zooms with people. We can book however long you want. Most of the Zooms I typically do anymore are an hour to 2 hours. And you get a copy of that. And you can do whatever you want with that. We can talk about whatever you like. And for those of you that are wondering what happened to the Garnet thing and all that, I lost my hiking companion, my gem hunting companion, a month and a half ago, folks. That hit me hard. I lost a lot of love for the gem hunting, but now that this fall's coming, I'm going to get back into that. And I've moved on from that grief, and I kind of lost a love for the Garnet stuff for a while, and I didn't want to send people, these garnets as a thank you for the zooms with having that kind of energy on them. So those of you that are still waiting on garnet necklaces and other things like that have been doing the zooms with me, those are coming, and I'll make it up to you guys. Trust me. I'm just about getting ready to get ramped back up in that, and I'm going to be actually offering some of the gems, some of the jewelry that my wife and I have made on Exit the Matrix. Instead of going with affiliates and all that, we're going to do our own little thing, and it'll be a great way to offer that. But I also, with doing booking Zooms and stuff, that's also a gift that I give out. So, but like I said, those of you that are still waiting, look, man, I have no excuse for not getting those out. I mean, more other than just grief and a lot of financial issues I've been dealing with and other things that I don't want to talk about. And it pushed me off of my goals and off the road I was on. And now I feel like the universe is starting to kind of push me back up again. That wave's starting to, it's starting to go in the upwards direction. The pendulum's swinging the other way. So things are looking better for sure. So, anyways, guys, hey guys, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the AI and all these systems being put in place. And I'll talk to you later.